Today I'm going to be showing you how to set up your paper chromatography of a spinach leaf lab. So you'll be doing this with your lab partners. You'll work as a group of 4 today back in the lab. And your procedures are here on the first page, and I'm just going to demonstrate how to set up your apparatus to make sure that your chromatography works the way we need it to. So for the very first procedural item, I'm just going to move this up so I have some space to work. It says obtain a strip of chromatography paper, and on the cart you should find these 6-inch strips of paper. If you can't find them, you should certainly be able to find this giant roll of chromatography paper. So you can just take a ruler, and I'll just demonstrate for you here. You're going to cut about 6-inch length of this chromatography paper, and that's all you're going to need. Okay, so 6-inch length. And then it says to use a ruler to measure and draw a very light pencil line 2 centimeters from the bottom. So I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to measure 2 centimeters down here at one side. Okay, and I'm just going to draw a very light line. So it shouldn't be very dark at all, just a simple light line across the paper at 2 centimeters. Okay. Now this is where we're going to deposit the pigment from our spinach leaf. So also on the cart you should have a bag or a little container of spinach leaves. And you just need 1 leaf for this. And then you should also get a coin. So I have bags of pennies over there that you can use. So what you're going to do, and you want to make sure that you're on this line. So I like to just fold this over so I can eyeball that line. And you're just going to lightly run your coin back and forth. You don't want to press too hard, and then move it down a little bit. Okay. And just run it back and forth right across that line, and we need to deposit that pigment on the line. There we go. Right, so you can see where my pigment is starting out. I do have a little blip here, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to circle that with my pencil, okay, just to indicate that I did have some pigment that started right up there. Okay, then it says we're going to carefully add some chromatography solvent. So again, over on the cart you have these bottles of chromatography solvent. They're clearly labeled, right? And you're going to add solvent to the test tube to a depth of about 2 centimeters. Now I'm going to stop at 1.5 centimeters. So these are your test tubes. They're set up at your station. And we want to go about 1.5 centimeters. So I'm going to stop. I'm just going to, and eyeballing this is fine, you guys. I'm going to stop just above where this test tube curves. So here's the edge of the curve. I'm going to go just above that, filling it with the chromatography solvent. Okay, so just to show you, I'm just above where that test tube curves. Okay, now here's what we have to make sure of. When we put our chromatography paper down into our test tube, we need to make sure that our pigment line is not below the chromatography solvent. So the solvent line needs to strike below down here somewhere, but the paper needs to be submerged. Okay, so I'm just going to sort of slightly fold, sort of curve my paper so that it fits down into the solvent. And I'm going to stop. So notice here that edge of the solvent is below that line of my pigments. Okay, now all I'm going to do is I'm going to set my test tube down. Okay, so we're just going to let it set here in a beaker, and as that solvent climbs the paper through capillary action, we're going to see it draw those pigments up the paper. Okay, so we just need to let it sit for a while. We don't want it to set too long, so we need to make sure that we're keeping an eye on it while you're working on the quizzes. So when it gets to the rim, that's when we can stop it. Okay, we don't want it to go much past this. We don't want our pigments running off the page.